You are welcome back again to today's broadcast. In fact, let's look into what is going on in the country. Why are the Northern Caliphate? Why the Northern Caliphate is now begging for the unity of Nigeria? In fact, this is a very big question, and is a very big thing to to go into. Make sure you watch this video to the end, because as it is, the Northern leaders, the Caliphate, the Sultan of Sokoto, and some of them, they are now coming out, start begging the Biafran for them to remain in one Nigeria. That one Nigeria is going to work according to them, because they have seen that the international body and everybody is now backing the Biafra, and that is why they see that as it is, they have no hope anymore than to divide the country. And they are now coming out, start begging the East, start begging the Biafran people for them to remain in one Nigeria, that everything will be fine. That is what is going on right now, because the Sultan of Sokoto, the way he was talking, and they're referring to that Nigeria will be this, Nigeria will be that. So according to the headline, it says Northern elders panic as international support for Biafran referendum reaches all-time high. They are now in panic. They are now in heavy panic because of the issue of Biafra. It is high, and it is going higher every day. The issue of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. You all have seen how the US and the US Congress, UN, and the other global power, the way they are hitting on Nigeria for them to release Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, and also do the needful and to settle the issue of Biafra with Nigeria, to let the Igbos, to let the Biafran people to go if they want to leave. And also the issue of Simon Ekpa in Finland, the way Nigeria is running out of scatter just to manipulate everything in Finland. But the ICC and the international body, they are seeing everything that is going on in the country. And that is why you see the way the North, they are now coming out to start begging the Eastern states that they need to come back to remain in one Nigeria. Just watch by yourself so that you understand what is really going on in the country. As about to watch, like, subscribe, and share.
Why are Northern leaders talking to Igbos now? Guys, Biafra debate takes fresh turn. My people, something very interesting is happening again around the question of Nigerians' unity. For years, whenever the word Biafra came up, the conversation was usually very simple. The Southeast wanted change. The federal government rejected separatism, and Northern leaders defended the unity of Nigeria. But there is one thing that makes this conversation different. Some of the most prominent voices from the North have previously acknowledged that the Biafra question cannot simply be wished away. And now, as Nigeria faces another serious wave of insecurity, political frustration, and growing demand for reform, Nigerians are once again asking, why are Northern elders talking about the Southeast and Nigerians' unity in a different way? Is the Biafra question becoming impossible to ignore? And could Nigerians' worsening national crisis be forcing leaders from different regions to rethink the old approach? This is Prospect Channels TV. Thank you for always coming out here. If you are new here, please kindly subscribe. Like and share this video. Let it go viral, because the matter has changed gear. Let's break it down. Let's go back to 2021. At the time, the Northern Elders Forum made a statement that surprised many Nigerians. The forum said that if support for secession among the Igbo was genuinely as widespread as it appeared, and if Igbo leaders also supported it, Nigeria should not stand in the way simply by going to war. They don't want war. If Igbos want to go, there is no need blocking them. The government, the United Nations, should just peacefully conduct a referendum, let them go their way. In other words, the Northern Elders Forum was warning against another civil war if Nigerian government keep pushing this question. The forum still argued that separation was not necessarily in the best interest of Nigeria or the Igbo people, but it made one thing clear. They did not believe another war should be fought just to force the Southeast to remain in Nigeria. To their own is this: asking for separation should not cause war again. We don't want war. If the Igbos still insist that they want to live, let it be peacefully. Let them go. So many people thought seeking for Biafra is seeking for war. It was not supposed to be like that. And now Northerners are talking, and I like the fact that this is coming from Northern elders, because this was not coming from IPOP. It was not coming from a Southeast politician. It was coming from prominent Northern elders. That is where this is really very interesting. But there was another side to their message. The Northern elders was not saying, we support Biafra. That is an important distinction. Their argument was that if there was genuinely overwhelming support for separation, the country should not respond by creating another war. At the same time, they demanded that violence against Northerners and the federal institutions in the Southeast stop, and that people responsible for attack should fix the law. So even in that dramatic statement, there was two messages: no more war, but also no violence. That distinction remains important today. Now look at Nigeria in 2026. Fast forward to 2026. Nigeria is facing another serious security crisis, and this time the Northern Elders Forum itself is sounding the alarm. In June, the forum called on President Bola Tinubu to declare a national security emergency, warning that Nigerians are increasingly living in fear as criminal groups operate with greater boldness. Think about what that means. The same Northern Forum that has previously spoken about the dangers of another civil war is now warning that insecurity is threatening Nigerian stability. Do you know what that means? Please follow me. We are going to somewhere. And this raises an uncomfortable question. If insecurity is affecting visually every part of Nigeria, can the country continue solving regional grievances mainly through security measures? Or does Nigeria need a much bigger political conversation? Now, for many years in the Southeast, the Biafra argument is connected to much more than a flag or a name. They talk about political marginalization. They talk about insecurity. They talk about economic hardship. They talk about the treatment of separatist activities. They talk about inclusiveness. And of course, they talk about Nnamdi Kanu. For Nnamdi Kanu supporters, this case has become a major symbol of the wider relationship between the Southeast and the federal government. That is why every major development involving Nnamdi Kanu immediately reignites the Biafra debate. One reason the conversation refuses to disappear is the demand for a referendum. Some pro-Biafra voices argue that the people should be allowed to decide their political future through a peaceful democratic processes. And interestingly, the debate about constitutional reform and referendums has also appeared outside the Biafra movement. In June 2026, a group responding to proposals from Northern leaders argued that Nigeria's crisis is partly rooted in the country's constitutional structure and called for a new constitution through referendum. That does not mean the Northern Elders Forum has endorsed Biafra. Yes, it does not, however, shows that the broader debate about Nigeria's political structure is becoming harder to avoid, because Nigeria has tried several approaches: the security operations, court cases, political appointments, appeal for unity, warning against separatism, but the underlying grievances keep returning, maybe because they've not really touched where it's really penny. And whenever those grievances return, the Biafra question comes back with them. That is why some Nigerians are now asking, what if the problem is bigger than Biafra? What if the real issue is that different regions does not agree on what Nigeria should look like? What if people want a federalism that gives regions more power? What if some Nigerians want restructuring? And what if others genuinely want self-determination? These are difficult questions, but they are political questions. Now, what are northern Nigerians saying? Here we come. There is also an important point here. The Northern Elders Forum does not speak for every northerner. Northern Nigeria is politically diverse. There are people who strongly support one Nigeria. There are people who want restructuring. There are people who deeply concerned about insecurity. There are people who also want separation. And there are people with their own frustrations about the federal government. In fact, the NEF's recent demand for a national security emergency shows that the northern leaders themselves are increasingly focused on what they described as failures in security and governance. So this is not just simply a north versus south story. It is becoming a question about the future of the entire country. Whenever Nigerian leaders say Nigeria must remain one, many Nigerians now respond, what kind of Nigeria? Because unity is not simply about keeping the map unchanged. Unity also means people must believe that they have security. They must believe they have political representation. They must believe that their region has a future. And they must believe that peaceful political grievances can actually be heard. Without those things, simply repeating the words one Nigeria may not be enough. Now, could dialogue change this conversation? This is where dialogue becomes important. Dialogue does not mean the federal government has to accept Biafra. It does not mean Nigeria has to break apart. And it does not mean separatist groups are automatically right. It simply means that political grievances can be discussed politically. Nigeria can discuss restructuring. It could discuss constitutional reform. It could discuss regional development. It could discuss security. It could discuss the concerns surrounding Nnamdi Kanu's case. It could discuss whether the existing federal structure is actually working. These conversations may be uncomfortable, but avoiding them has not made the problem disappear. Because Nigeria is reaching another important moment. The Biafra question is still alive. Nnamdi Kanu's case remains politically sensitive. The Southeast continue to demand greater attention to its grievances. And northern leaders themselves are warning that insecurity is threatening the country. That combination creates a very serious national conversation. The question is no longer simply, will Biafra happen? The bigger question is, can Nigeria reform itself enough to make people believe that staying together is worth it? That is a much deeper question. Now, my people, let's be very clear. Yes, this is really getting very, very interesting. Is a northern leaders 2021 position shows that prominent northern headers were willing to acknowledge that the Biafra question was serious enough that Nigeria should avoid another civil war. And now in 2026, the same forum is warning that Nigerians' worsening insecurity has reached a critical point and is calling for a national security emergency. That is why this conversation deserves attention. Because when insecurity grows, when political trust fails, and when regional grievances continue, the question of Nigerians' future naturally returns. Maybe the answer is stronger referendum, maybe it is restructuring, maybe it's a genuine dialogue, maybe it's separation. So different Nigerians will have different answers. But one thing is clear, Nigeria cannot continue avoiding the difficult conversations forever. So guys, what's your take on this? Should Nigeria consider restructuring? Should Nigeria consider, should there be greater regional autonomy, or do you believe the answer is simply to strengthen the existing Nigerian Federation, or Nigeria should just divide? What do you think about the Northern Elders Forum's earlier position that Nigeria should not fight another civil war over the Biafra question? Please drop your opinion in the comments. Let's discuss this without insult and without violence.
That remains that the CIA have said in 2030 Nigeria will not exist. Nigeria is going to be like Rwanda or worse than Rwanda. The one thing the Muslims have is patience. Their dream is to take over and annihilate Nigeria. I'm amazed. I'm impressed. I felt like I won a lotto. I never knew these guys are like this. The Bible says from their fruit you shall know them. And I want to use this opportunity to thank you. I am Dr. Chuck Abodema. I've been in America for the past 35 years. And my friends now are ministers and commissioners in Nigeria. So when I went to Nigeria, I found out that I'm not in Nigeria. I don't belong to Nigeria. My good friend Mohammed, we all live in New York, Mohammed Shehu, he's the chairman of revenue allocation. Actually, he's the one that financed all this money they are giving. He's an American citizen. He's in Nigeria. So I got disappointed. I could not, when I see these guys on TV, I was so impressed seeing what's going on. Because I've been fighting this battle from Obasanjo and Bush when Obasanjo wants to come for the third issue. Yeah. So the fact remains that the CIA have said in 2030 Nigeria will not exist. Nigeria is going to be like Rwanda or worse than Rwanda. The one thing the Muslims have is patience. Their dream is to take over and annihilate Nigeria regardless. They've been doing this since Biafran War. Since 1967 to 1970, they are very patient. They're going to double down again. They're going to wait. If America comes now, they're going to comply. Look at what happened in Afghanistan. When American soldiers went there, worked with them, they came back and killed them. Look at what happened when Arafat and Clinton came here about Jerusalem. Arafat told them, don't worry, you can take Jerusalem. When he went back, there's a language they thought that is Yaqui. I have a paper that I'm going to distribute all this. All this, okay, don't worry. That's what they're going to use. They have their own strategies. It's about strategy. Nigeria is in jeopardy, and we're going to die. There won't be existence of the Igbos no more. Because my friend Mohammed don't talk to me today. He has blocked me. He has done anything. But when it comes to America, we are Nigeria. When you go to Nigeria, it's Nigeria. I'm an American. Please, I thank you. We're in trouble. We're going to all die.
My country people, we are still in the meeting on how to handle Nigeria issue, whether to separate Islam from Christians. Keep sharing it. If you are not following it, go to Ifuna Victoria channel. You will see the beginning of this meeting and watch it serially. Don't forget
Truth Nigeria in the last year and a half has been reporting on the ransom camps that are in the forests throughout Kaduna, Taraba, Nasarawa, Benue. These ransom camps, many of them are located near military installations in these forests. This is where, and kidnapping for ransom has become an industry in Nigeria. Yes. It is what is funding the terror. It's what's funding the slaughter and the occupied villages that are not being returned to the people who rightfully own the lands. So these ransom camps, it's like open-air Auschwitz in the middle belt of Nigeria. We can't see it because of the foliage. You can't get satellite imagery on top of that. You can't just drone strike because there are people who live in the forests. But the military installations near to these camps, where people, ordinary people like you and me, they get hauled out of their villages, they're held in these camps, they're starved, tied to trees, beaten every single day, and it doesn't matter your age. Infants, small children, pregnant women, the elderly. These are the people who are being held in these starvation ransom camps. And nobody's talking about it. And nothing will change until this industry of kidnapping for ransom is disrupted in Nigeria. And it has to be attended to. And if Tinubu is going to tell us that he's protecting the Christians, he's going to raid those camps and free the people who are being held for ransom there. One person will go to pay a ransom for a brother or a sister. The ransom is taken, that person is freed, the person who brought the ransom is hauled in. And it's happening to entire communities that are being bankrupted through these ransom payments, and they're forced into IDP camps, into Abuja, into Lagos. This is how you clear the land. This is how genocide happens.
Thanks, Steve. Happy to take any questions.
Yes, I have a first, thank you for what you do. He's one of the most celebrated Americans in Nigeria because of what he's done. And my name is Stephen Osemike, president of Save Nigeria Group. His alerts we share. Once he posts, I have a bell on his social media. Once he posts, quickly, Doug has posted, and I want to thank you for what True Nigeria is doing. My question is, in Nigeria, the Fulani is a large ethnic group. So there's always this fight about how do you identify the fact that the Fulani Islamic militia is separate from that group. Because, for example, Nuhu Ribadu, who is linked to the lobby of $9 million that's going on, he's a Fulani. Anytime the U.S. delegation go to Nigeria, they are meeting with Fulanis most likely because they are mainly the leaders of the country. So how do you separate that? Because I see that's where the pushback is coming from, because we need to identify it. I just wanted to, if you had to deal with that.
No, I'll explain. The politicians that are Fulani are in bed with the terrorists. That's it. That's it. Look, right? The Fulani that are the top politicians are the ones directly laying cover for the terrorists. Okay? And we know for a fact that some of these politicians meet regularly with the terrorists that are orchestrating the attacks. Guys, everybody knows this. The Nigerians know this. Nigerian government knows this. But for some reason, we can't get people in our State Department to really recognize this. Sorry, one other rant real quick, if you don't mind, is that I know for a fact that our government still has not given a directive to the intelligence agencies to even look at the Fulani. There is no operating directive to look at the Fulani by our United States government. It's ISIS and Boko Haram, the shiny names, not the people that are doing the mass majority killing of Christians. So please, if you have connections, if you know people in the government, Fulani ethnic militia, let's start doing some work with the U.S. government to look at the Fulani ethnic militia and quit thinking you can get full cooperation and honesty from the Nigerian government because they're lying through their teeth to your face.
And on
That's
the
it.
government, you really need to, and Congress could pass a law that when you've been designated as a country of particular concern, no meetings with lobbyists for countries of particular concern until
Yes.
they are meeting their standards.
You added that.
Yeah. So we'll keep that in mind. So anything, so Nigeria's at CPCs, country of particular concern, there's no reason for a lobbying group from the U.S. to be sending messages from them, right, or helping them. So appreciate that. Scott, we got about 5 more minutes and then we have to be out of the room. Not that I'm giving you 5 minutes, Scott. I'll give you a minute. 1 minute.
Oh, I'll take more than a minute. Actually, I want to go even further than what Didi just said about the CPC status. Under the CPC status, the United States is not allowed to transfer any military equipment or provide any military training to countries that are on the CPC list. But yet, we know last week, a delegation of the Nigerian military went to San Diego to check on the status of 12 Cobra attack helicopters that have been on order since the Biden administration. That could be a nice little item to put in Truth Nigeria.
Yeah, we'll do a story on that. Thank you.
Be a nice item to put in the Daily Caller.
Yeah, thank you.
I actually saw it on the Defense Digest and this Defense Industrial site.
Oh.
You know, they always, and we know for several years Nigerians have been adamant about purchasing U.S. attack helicopters. Twice they tried to purchase them secondhand from Gulf states, twice the U.S. stepped in and denied the sales under the use of end user certificates.
So, we'll look into that. Thank you, sir.
And I think just to be clear, no one in this room is saying Fulani are evil, Fulani must be annihilated. Exactly. Fulani are people, it's a people group. It goes from Chad all the way across to Senegal, different varied people. It's the militia, those who are armed, anyone linked with it, the bandits, the so-called ethnic militia, whatever we're calling them.
Fulani ethnic militia.
People are, that's the terror. Those are the ones we got to be watching for. If I may in the room have Fulani friends, I myself have Fulani friends who want this to stop as well. So, one more comment.
Discuss about the video you have just watched, you know, where the international community actually had a brief conference and a summit where the issue of the Fulani jihadist activities in Nigeria were briefly, you know, actually discussed. You know, yes, in that discussion, it boils down to, you know, what Ranimo was actually, you know, trying to put down as in the report. You know, but I can tell you that it is the decision of the president himself, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, to Donald Trump to look into. I'm talking about Donald Trump, not Tinubu, please. Sorry for that misconception. You know, I'm talking about Donald Trump himself. You know, the report has been officially put on his table, according to Ranimo, and some of the pieces we are able to get from that report clearly show that we are conditions that we are actually put in place, especially when it comes to Sharia law, are totally abolished from the Nigerian Constitution. I can tell you, if you look at the Nigerian Constitution very well, you know, Nigerian Constitution as a nation is being tailored by people who have the motive and characteristics of Sharia in them, and that is why that constitution was all about Sharia, all about Islam. You know, you can look at the number of the Muslim that were mentioned in that constitution. Look at how many times, you know, Christianity was actually mentioned. Then look at how many times Sharia was also mentioned in the Nigerian constitution. So it tells you a lot of things, you know. But Ranimo himself, why these people are saying that they are going to reject Ranimo's report, should be totally rejected, and they were giving instances, the reason why we cannot cohabit, either by omission or by commission, that after some time, you know, they will return back to square one, and the security challenges will definitely continue. And at that point, we might not have a sincere world leaders as what we have now. So it becomes a very serious, yes, it becomes a very serious issue, you know, for the future of Christians in Nigeria. Let me give you an instance. Look at what happened in Afghanistan. You know, look at what happened in during the days of Arafat. You know, look at other countries where they were allowed to be given a little space, just stay here for a while. Okay, we have agreed on a peace arrangement. Okay, let me even take you to the reality on ground. You know, in 1969 or thereabout, when the war actually ended, and Philip Effiong, there was a ceasefire, you know, that they are now going to return back to, you know, peaceful coexistence. Years after, we saw it very clearly that these people has actually rearmed again and started advancing. And these are the things the international community are saying now. Now, with this experience, we cannot propose such report before Donald Trump, where a situation where Ranimo is saying that, you know, we can cohabit if America continue to fight insurgency in Nigeria militarily and otherwise, we can still be in the same but let us do away with anything that has to do with blasphemy, you know, Sharia, and of course total abolishment of, you know. But the Northerners has actually replied him and told him, and very clearly, that Nigeria is an Islamic nation. We hear that in very clearly from Sultan of Sokoto. We hear it very clearly from their spokesperson, you know, from the north. You know, just a few of them are already divided on that ground, because some of them believe that, you know, Biafra is a legitimate thing, you know. But we cannot try to trust these people, whether they are pro-diplomatic or non-diplomatic, with their statement and all. It can never be trusted because history has shown that after some time, and that's what Donald Trump is trying to do in Iran when they are calling for ceasefire. He said no ceasefire, because he doesn't want a situation where this type of thing, after some time, we are back to square one. We are back to Iran now, trying to see or stop them from nuclear armament and all that, nuclear weapon acquiring, enriching uranium and all that. That this thing must be solved once and for all. And
Oh yes, that is it. You all have heard everything the way it is. The northern the northern leaders, the northern caliphate, coming out to beg the eastern state, the Biafran people, for them to remain in one Nigeria when they are now clamoring for they are now clamoring for Islamization of Nigeria and Sharia law all over Nigeria. Is it the same time they will be still coming out to claim that Nigeria should remain as one? That cannot be possible and that cannot work. Everybody have seen it up and down, north and west, the way the country is today. The country, God did not make Nigeria to be as one, but human being make it as artificial. And what we know is that anything made by human being have expiring dates. Once it expire, then that means that thing will become a waste. And as it is, Nigeria has already expired. Everybody knows it. It already expired since 2014 to dates. So that is why you see many things is happening and the government have nothing to do about it. Instead of it, it will be even having worse every day. No matter the government that comes in, it cannot solve the problem Nigeria is facing today. The person cannot solve it because the thing that is there is that Nigeria has already expired. So everything you are seeing, dating, debating, and the rest of it in anywhere in the world, the equation remains that the country has expired. It is time for the people to come back to renegotiate if the country will going to remain as one. But if we are still claiming that no, we cannot come back to talk about Nigeria, then we should leave Nigeria this same way it is, meaning they are now calling for second civil war in Nigeria, because what we are seeing today and what we are seeing that will come is there will be a very heavy blow and heavy thing coming ahead. Just what Mazin Kanu told them, that Nigeria, Somalia will become a paradise compared to what is coming to the country, but they thought it's just a joke. It just once they get him, prison him, everything will settle. Today, look at it. Him is not the one that is even causing the problem. He have told them what will happen, but people saw it as a person that is calling for secession, is a secessionist, is a terrorist. Then and go and kidnap him from Kenya. Since then till now, how far Nigeria and how far the government, those who don't believe on what he's saying then, is now believing him now. And those who believe that Nigeria is all we have and all we need, is now crying and begging for them to go their own separate way. They're not wanting Nigeria anymore. And that is how it is. And if they don't end this with peace, with unity, with love, one day everybody in the country will just carry anything they see the way they are doing it now and say enough is enough. And what is there that Nigeria is just a time bomb. They are waiting to explode. And the international body will just sit by and be seeing everything burn down to ashes. And the time is for now to settle everybody the way it's supposed to be. I would like your comment down below, like, subscribe, and share for everyone to see things going on in the country. So thank you for watching.